Well, good morning, everybody. It is 6 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, the 19th of May, and I am prepping a wedding which has been postponed for 3 years. Poor girl. Anyway, it's a lovely, lovely neighbour in the village who's being married at her parents' house in the next village. So real country wedding stuff. There's a very pretty church and lovely, cheerful attractor to dress, all sorts of bits and pieces. So come along with me for the ride. Of course, I can't start cutting this wedding until I've finished the current job in hand, which is why I'm starting in the studio at 6 o'clock in the morning to finish putting on those dahlias. I took them at the beginning. I took dahlia cuttings at the beginning of April, and I'd say 95% of them have rooted. Yes. I cut them into peat-free compost, Silver Grow, and they've done really, really nicely, to the extent that I may have a few spares for my neighbours in the village. Anyway, I've got to finish doing those and then we'll do wedding prep. So give me an hour and then we'll start cutting wedding flowers. See you in a minute. Here are the dahlia cuttings all potted up. They're in colour order, starting with hot orange, going through dark aubergine into the blushes, pale pinks, some pretty sort of sugary pinks, going into the blushes and on to the peachy colours, and there we are. And then I've got another 100 or so down still by the tunnel that needs sorting out. But yes, I will be taking dahlia cuttings again. That was not difficult, and actually time and space and compost efficient. So a couple of hours later, and all the dahlias are up here in lines of different varieties and ready for planting out on Monday while I'm at the Chelsea Flower Show. Get me. We probably won't plant quite all of these. I will go through them again and take out anything with a dodgy looking leaf or something that doesn't look quite right, or that I've got just too many for. And anything that doesn't look right will go in the bin. But anything I've got too many for will be freebies for the village. Right, it is 10 to 10. The dahlias are all done. I'm steaming up nicely. It's going to be a warm day, and I'm now going to cut 1,000 stems by 1 o'clock, because if I don't, it'll be too hot. So I better get on. That's the table with 150 peonies on it, which I've ordered up from my colleagues in Cornwall. My peonies aren't quite à point, although I do have a few and I will cut them for my lovely bride, but not enough. And so we'll see the table slowly fill up. There we are. We start with the peonies. On we go. And that bright red drink behind me, that's my healthy breakfast. This is a real no-mow May patch with a bird sitting on the chopper. It's a robin. Hello, robin. Sitting on the sawhorse and on the trestles in the middle. Anyway, I'm going to cut quite a lot from here. But look, don't mow for a month and look at your garden, possibly. Imagine the wildlife in here. Even using the plastic trestles to have a sit on when they need it. So there is the cow parsley. Lysimachia firecracker, since you're asking. What a colour! A bucket of details. Persicaria bistorta, buttercups, and the white one is a Lychnis bladder campion. Honeysuckle, Telema grandiflora, poppy seed heads, and mint. Sweet rocket, lime, sweet William, foxgloves, Phacelia, and Nigella. Look, they'll pop for the wedding. It's 11:45 and I have 700 stems cut. So that's another 300 to go before 1 o'clock. We'll get there. And with seconds to spare, we're done. It is 1 o'clock, time for lunch. Oh, There are always other things. I always say I can cut 400 stems an hour, and it's true, I can. But if I cut 400 stems an hour, there has to be nobody else here talking, no emergencies that need resolving, no chat, no quick, can I quickly ask you? Anyway, we're done. It's 1 o'clock, time for lunch. So added to the mix, Cirsium, Levatera, a little bit of, the tunnel is just beginning to flower, so there is Beplurum there, it's the zingy greeny colour one, this one is Beplurum, Vacaria hispanicus, that little pink person, tiny little bit of larkspur, the very first, lots of Physocarpus, lots of alliums, my personal private first flush of peonies, and now I'm going to have some lunch. There you have it, 1,000 stems. That'll do a wedding, I think, and a couple of regular orders. Right, it's Friday morning, and behind me we have the lovely Lorraine, who is just prepping the jars, and we have all the things that we're going to fill up already, because otherwise you don't know when you're finished. You have a list, you have all your vessels, and you get going. It is 10 to 11, so we're running a bit late. I anticipate we'll be finished by 5. Ready, steady, floristry o'clock. Now these have come up a treat. That one's for the bar. To church, let's go outside the church porch. There's the pedestal to go in the church. Right, onto the little smaller arrangements. I sent myself, Lorraine.
Yes,
they come up a treat. Right, let's put them out of the way so that they don't get bashed and battered. We'll put them right round here, Lorraine.
I've got cow pasty up my nose. Hang on, where that way?
Ready?
Go further down so that
then
we've
we
got
get the
space for the other one.
Okay.
Yeah. Stop.
No, you're still on it. Sorry, I suppose. It's very important to hold up the bouquet in front of a mirror to see how it's going to hold. I always have a mirror in my studio for this. So we're at the end of day 1, Friday, and I'm completely in love with these fat posies that lovely Lorraine has made. There are, I think, 11 of them to go on the tables in the marquee. They're great. I love them in this late afternoon light. Very pretty. Then we have buttonholes and corsages for the mamas. Extra buttonhole in case by the time the speeches happen, the groom's first buttonhole has been a bit squashed. The sun sometimes gets into the studio quite late in the afternoon. So here are the big arrangements for the church, tucked in the back here, out of the way, so they won't be touched by the sun. And look, I'm going to have to move this one because I don't want the sun sitting on it, or that one. And right down this end of the table, we have the bride's bouquet tucked away out of the light. Oh, I sent myself. I love the colour. 3 bridesmaids posies. And here is the ivy, which is going to go some over the arch by the church and some down the tables. And as you can see, it's got its feet in water, so it's nice and fresh tomorrow. That's about, I don't know, 10 foot of ivy there, so that should be enough. Right, I think it's time to go and have a little glass of fizzy wine with Granny in the tractor shed. Don't you think so, Lorraine? Right, and having been kept awake by the birds all night, that was the dawn chorus at 4 o'clock this morning that I shared with you just now. Moving on, here we go, getting ready to go. Time to put on the apron and clear away last night's lovely fizzy wine brought by my friend Lorraine all the way from the south coast. Look at that. People are always interested in how we pack the car. So there are 11 big fat posies to go in the marquee, a couple of other larger arrangements to go in the marquee, the bridesmaids, the buttonholes, the hair flowers, and never go anywhere without your trusty florist friend, Lorraine, and the bride's bouquet. You see, all fits. And here, in the back of the van, is everything for the church. And so we'll go and start installing. So here's our Lorraine. You can tell it's Saturday morning because the horrible motorbikes are roaring around. But Lorraine, this is what's called pudging. So you make the things the day before, you bring them on the day, and you pudge them to make them perfect. And here is very beautifully pudged. Oh, very beautiful.
It would be if I could get this one in. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
She's in.
Look at that. It's a treat. So I'm going to walk backwards so you get an idea. It's not a very light church, although it's painted white. This is the Church of St Andrew's, Stoke Trista. And there is the pedestal. And then I've got to make sure I don't fall down the step. Whoops. And then we have a very dinky little bucket of something for the pulpit and a matching bucket for the organ. And what you've got is 3 points: Father, Son and Holy Ghost. It's very, little things all add up. And something to welcome the people as they come into the church. There's me, hello. It's not a sort of enormously flowery wedding, but it's very attractive. And because this is country, real country, and real no mucking around, then we can have tin buckets, and they work really, really well. I think it's really attractive because of the milk churns we've got outside. So there we go. This is the view from the churchyard, and you see the houses on the left. If you go right, and you can see the road, there are cars going along the road maybe. If you go right a bit, you can see a tower on the top of the hill. Can you? I'll see if I can go in a bit. Oh, look, there's the tower. And if you come directly down from the tower, you can't see it, but that's where I live. And I can see this church from my bedroom window. So that's nice. And then here's Fabrizio filling a jug which is tied to the tree because we have a secret squirrel thing going on because we are foam-free florists. So for my next trick, I will dress this little arch. Nothing too fancy, just pretty. I do love an urn. It's a very attractive way to do it. This is dairy country, so have an urn. I mean, they're really very attractive, I think.
I need someone to do a picture.
And here is a little half arch, just because the wrought iron is a bit hard and could do the little softening. It's very simple and really quite effective. Not unhappy with that at all. So then the table centres are all going down these lovely trestle tables, and the peonies will pop. Marquees are always really warm, so the peonies will pop in the warmth until everybody's back from the marquee. But they do look really, I'm quite pleased with them. Well done, Lorraine. And a lovely big milk churn to stand in front of the bar.